Welcome to the Spanish Learning Lab with me, Alexander. In this video, I'm going to continue my reading of Fight Club, or as it's translated in Spanish, El Club de la Lucha, written by Chuck Palahniuk. Now, as I read through the book, I'll be reading through a PDF actually, and I'll provide a link to the same PDF I'm using in the comments section. It's free, it's available online, and you can go ahead and download it, pull it up, and follow along. Now, as I read along, I'll be using Spanish dictionary to look up words that with meanings I don't know, verb conjugations. I'll be using ChatGPT to ask more complex questions about grammar, um, phrases in Spanish that I personally don't know. And as I read along, I'll just be using these tools to continue to increase my understanding of the Spanish language. Now, as a point of reference to you, the last Spanish class I took, I was at the B2 level, which is considered advanced intermediate. At that point, you're comfortable with the present subjunctive form, and I didn't finish B2, so I never had the imperfect subjunctive formally introduced to me. And so this is a grammatical form that I'm currently learning and becoming increasingly familiar with. And so as we read through the PDF, sometimes when I see the imperfect subjunctive form, I'll point that out. I'll investigate it using chat. Also, this is a Spanish translation from Spain. And so you'll see the grammatical form of vosotros used quite a bit. Um, I did study Spanish in Spain as well as other countries, and so it's not weird for me. It's something I'm actually pretty excited about learning. Although I know it's not used at all in Latin America, which is where most Spanish speakers exist, live. And so these are just a couple of things that really pique my interest, and so I will be spending some time and looking through that. Now, the reason why I picked Fight Club is because Chuck Palahniuk is a great writer. He writes short and concise sentences, paragraphs, chapters. For example, this chapter, chapter 6, is 4 pages long. And so these short chapters are ideal for this video format. So that's one reason why I chose to read this book. Another reason is that in case you're not familiar with Fight Club is an excellent, excellent existential book about just deconstructing the world around you and trying to find some meaning in life. Um, Something I think we all go through at some point in our lives. Anything else I want to say in the intro before we get going? Yeah, so just to make it clear, I am not um, a 1% fluent Spanish speaker. I'm very much inviting all of you in my learning journey toward mastery of Spanish. And so, yeah, thanks for joining. Let's get started. All right, Chapter 6, El Club de la Lucha, Capítulo 6. Y vamos por la segunda pantalla de la demostración para Microsoft cuando noto en la boca el sabor a sangre y tengo que tragármela. El jefe no conoce el material, pero no me dejará presentar el proyecto con un ojo morado y media cara hinchada por los puntos de sutura que me han que me han cosido en el interior de la mejilla. Los puntos se han soltado, lo noto al rozar el carillo con la lengua. Imaginaos, vosotros, form of imagine, imaginaos un sedal enmarañado enmarrallado en la playa. Enmarrallado. Imaginaos un sedal enmarrallado en la playa. Me los imagino como los puntos de sutura negros de un perro después de haberle hecho un surcido. Y sigo tragándome la sangre. So our our hero here, or our anti-hero, more like an anti-hero, um, he's just swallowing blood. His face is swollen, right? Media cara hinchada, and he's tasting blood, and he's just drinking it, right? Because he's what are you gonna do? Spit out blood out of like a at an office meeting, right? So just to be clear, there's a presentation here that they're giving to Microsoft, and they're in this boardroom giving a PowerPoint, and he's just like he just shows up, all beat the fuck up. He has like a black eye, his nose is swollen, and it's just like blood's gonna start dripping out, or if he doesn't swallow it, so he swallows it. And so, I mean, what a beautiful contrast, right? What a beautiful contrast between like this like up and up, button up, stiff as fuck, white collar, very familiar, very familiar setting. And then you have this like reject, just like, okay, I'm a professional. Let's talk about, synergy and all that bullshit. Um, so that's our starting point for this chapter. I think I'm gonna like this chapter. And the rest of the paragraph is right here. Mi jefe, the boss. My dad used to call his mother Hefa, like she's the boss, like in a very playful way. Um, so my background's my heritage is from Mexico, and so I can speak a lot to that. And there's a lot of playful language like Hefa. Um, Or, but it's not unique to Mexico. It's all of land culture. I'm not also this isn't unique to land culture. I'm sure there's other cultures in the world that do this, but I can only speak to what I know, right? And so, and most in all of the land culture, you have a very like playful use of language where you give each other nicknames. So my grandmother was La Jefa. Um, Even if you're skinny, a term of endearment might be like, "Hey, gordo," if fatty, gordo, gorda. It's a little ironic and it's fun. All right, so mi jefe. Mi jefe es quien presenta el proyecto con mis notas y yo manejo el proyector portátil, por lo que me encuentro apartado en un extremo de la habitación a oscuras. All right, so the boss gives a presentation. He drives, manejo the projector, and in a very dark room. Let's think about that imagery for a second. Actually, also, by the way, I've read this book in Spanish 3 times. I read it in English once, but it's like 15 years ago in college. And then I've seen the movie a few times. And as I'm reading Fight Club with all of you here, and I have to slow down because I'm reading it out loud and the words trip me up sometimes, um, I'm beginning to notice symbolism that went just flew over my head before. So here, like my intuition's saying, slow down. There's something happening here that you haven't seen before. So this line right here, mi jefe es quien presenta el proyecto. It's the boss who presents the project. He's the leader. Con mis no with his work, with his notes. Y yo manejo el proyector portátil, the portable projector, por lo que me encuentro apartado en un extremo de la habitación a oscuras, in which he finds himself apartado, apart, or like separated in an extreme room, extremely dark room. So let's translate this, because this, my spidey sense is telling me that this is significant symbolism. Translate to English. Translate this sentence from Fight Club to English and interpret its meaning. Okay, I didn't pick this up, which means I'm off in a dark corner. That's important. That's important. So the first part we got right. My boss is the one who presents the project using my notes, taking all the credit, son of a bitch, and I operate the portable projector like a lackey, which means I'm off in the corner. I'm just like pressing the buttons and no one sees me. I'm just like the hunchback of Notre Dame, just pulling the rope so the bell goes off and then everyone, goes into that the church in Paris and worships God. And then you have like the poorly shipping creature in the shadow, doing all the hard work. He steps into the light, and then they're like, "I need some water. Get back in, get back in the dark, you hideous motherfucker!" Like that's what that's what I'm imagining right now, which means I'm off in the dark corner of the room. Back in the corner, monkey. All right. So what does chat think this means? Spotlight. Absolutely. I'm claiming that. That's definitely what I'm picking up on. This line captures the alienation, oh, these words, and powerlessness of the narrator. Yes, yes, it's a very powerless position. And then throughout the novel, if you've seen the movie or read the book before, you know that it's the narrator is moving up down a path towards increasing self-empowerment, but towards destructive ends because the name of the game here is self-destruction, self-liberation through the self-destruction. And it begins with the self, and then that destructive behavior gets transmitted to Fight Club. So now you have a community of self-destructive people, and then that community extends out to the society. And so the idea is just to tear it all down, because this whole world we live in is beyond hope. It's beyond s- salvation. So we got to tear this bitch down and just start all over again. Despite being the one who did the work, wrote the notes, he is not the one in the spotlight. His boss, his narrator, is relegated to a passive monkey. Passive monkey. Shut up. You'll drink water when I say you can. Almost invisible role. Managing the projector in the shadows. This physical positioning metaphorically reflects the psychological state, detached, sidelined, and disconnected from meaning or recognition. Here's a big word, meaning. That's a big word in this book, meaning. Or recognition. Nobody feels seen. He doesn't feel seen. He doesn't feel heard. He doesn't feel appreciated. Who can, I mean, come on. Like, yeah. It reinforces the theme of loss of identity and dehumanization. Yes. In corporate life that runs throughout Fight Club. God, I love this book so much. God, this book was so. I feel like people saw the movie and they're like, oh, it's just this like machismo, immature, boyish thumping of the chest. And ostensibly, there's some of that, right? I mean, they're finding each other in a basement. But like, if that's your takeaway from Fight Club, then you don't understand Fight Club. This reminds me of like quantum mechanics. Like if you think you understand, like, look, if you think you understand quantum mechanics, no one understands quantum mechanics. Then you don't because no one understands quantum mechanics. But here in Fight Club, you can understand Fight Club. You just gotta, take the time and read it, and it's not gonna happen in a 10-second, TikTok reel. Jesus Christ, this is the first paragraph. But I mean, this is like the depth of Fight Club here, man. It's good. It's a good book. That's why these videos are like 2 hours long for a four-page paragraph, a four-page um chapter. Such a good book. All right, let's go. Tengo los labios cada vez más pegajosos de sangre por haber intentado limpiármelos con la lengua y cuando se enciendan las luces y me vuelva hacia los consejeros de Microsoft, Ellen, Walter, Norbert y Linda, para decirles gracias por venir. Tendré la boca brillante de sangre y la sangre asomará por los intersticios de los dientes. I don't know what intersticios means. Also, I'm not going to look up the meaning of every word. At some point, we just need to use context clues. So here he's talking about the blood the bright blood on his lips, on his mouth. Asomará, future tense, asomará por los intersticios de los dientes. I'm guessing that means like the space between the teeth. I'm okay if I'm wrong about that, you know? It's like, you have to manage your time well. Let's go. If we see this word like 3 times, we'll look it up, you know? We should be mindful of our resources. Can't get boggled down on every little detail. Puedes tragar casi medio litro de sangre antes de sentir náuseas. Mañana toca club de lucha. No pienso, yeah, that's right. No pienso perderme el club de lucha. Antes de la demostración, ese tal Walter de Microsoft que tiene un bronceado color de patata frita con sabor de barbacoa sonríe abriendo su mandíbula de fría excavadora como si fuera, ajá, imperfect subjunctive, as if this happened, contrary to fact, hypothetical. That's one of the triggers for the imperfect subjunctive form. Como si fuera, as if, counterfactual. Como si fuera. Also, what I tell you, the RA, boom, RA. That's also another a tell of the imperfect subjunctive. Como si fuera una herramienta de marketing. Walter, Walter, Walter. Sometimes saying these English names in Spanish sounds a little funny to me. So, like in chapter, like the first 3 chapters of this video series, I would say Tyler. Like, how would I say Tyler in Spanish? Tyler. Kind of like in a mocking, hey, Tyler, Tyler. But I am being like, I am caricaturing the accent though. I get, but I was watching Fight Club in Spanish because we're gonna do that once I finish reading it. And the narrator says, Tyler. It's like, oh, okay, you don't have to be like a mocking dick about it. You can just say Tyler. I'm like, okay, I can say Tyler, 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 Tyler. All right. Walter, Walter, Walter. I don't know. That's just how I say it. Walter, con su anillo deseo, estrecha mi mano, la envuelve con su mano suave y tersa, y dice, no me gustaría ver cómo quedó el otro tipo. Hey, no me gustaría ver. Okay, so he's saying he's looking at Walter, right? So Walter, he's all beat the fuck up as well. And so the narrator is saying like, damn, if Walter looks like that, I do not even want to see what the other guy looks like. So I have a couple stitches on my abdominal on my abdominal wall near my obliques, and it's like 3 little stitches along a curved trajectory. And then people sometimes will ask me like, "Oh man, what happened to your stomach?" I'll just look at them and say, "You think that's bad? You should have seen what I did to the bear." No one ever laughs, and okay. La primera regla del club de la lucha es que no se habla del club de la lucha. Mm. Le digo a Walter que me cae. Me lo hice yo mismo. Antes de la presentación, tras. Antes de la presentación, tras sentarme frente al jefe para explicar en qué parte del texto van los diapositivas y cuando quiero proyectar el fragmento de video, el jefe me dice, pero ¿dónde te metas los fines de semana? No quiero morirme sin unas cuantas cicatrices. Perdón, ¿eh? No quiero morirme sin unas cuantas cicatrices, le digo. I don't want to die without a few scars. Another great Fight Club quote. De nada sirve ya lucir un cuerpo hermoso y macizo cuando veo esos coches de color cereza tan desfasados que desde un 1955 esperan comprador a la entrada de la tienda de automóviles. Siempre pienso, vaya basura. La segunda regla del club de la lucha es que no se habla del club de la lucha. If you join the club, keep your fucking mouth shut. Because exclusivity is sexy. Ooh, I want to be part of an exclusive club. But if any schmuck can join, that's I don't have fun. I don't want to be a part of that. You want to feel special. You want to feel invited. It's a special, select community. It means something. It means something to be part of Fight Club. You are one of the chosen few, the proud, the Marines. Where have we heard that before? Hmm? I'm not shitting on the Marines. I'm just saying it's that idea of exclusivity that's appealing, you know? And that's what's happening here. That's all I mean by that. Tal vez durante el almuerzo acuda a tu mesa un camarero que desde el fin de semana lleva los ojos morados como si fuera un panda gigante. ¿Sabes que se los pusieron así en el club de la lucha cuando un chico de 90 kilos le aplastaba con la rodilla la cabeza contra el suelo de hormigón, Jesus Christ, y le golpeaba una y otra vez el punte de la nariz con un ruido seco? Oh, I can just hear that. The against the concrete, with the knee. Ooh, man, this reads like ASMR, you know? Where are we? Con un ruido seco y compacto. Bro, let's do that one again. Con un ruido seco y compacto que se oía por encima de los gritos, hasta que el camarero tomó aire y, escupiendo sangre por la boca, se rindió. He gave up. He's like, fuck this, I'm out. You won. Oh, perdón, perdón. Here we go. No contestas nada porque el club de la lucha, perdona, no contestas nada porque el club de la lucha existe solo entre las horas en que el club de la lucha abre y el club de la lucha cierra. Te encontraste al chico de la copistería. Sabes que hace un mes el muchacho no se acordaba de hacer 3 agujeros con la taladradora en un pedido, ni se acordaba de poner los clasificadores de colores entre los paquetes de copias. Pero este muchacho fue un dios. Durante 10 minutos, cuando le viste dejar sin respiración de una patada a un contable que lo doblaba en tamaño para caer luego sobre él y molerlo a golpes hasta el momento en que tuvo que parar. Esta es la tercera regla del club de la lucha. Cuando alguien dice basta o resulta herido, aunque esté fingiendo, se da por terminada la pelea. Aún sí, cuando ves al chico, no puedes felicitarlo por el gran combate que libró. Solo dos tíos por combate. That's a very Spain thing to say. Tíos. So in Mexico, you might say, güey, este güey. In Argentina, you might say, che, or boludo, like dumbass, but that's something you say with like a really close friend. It's like a really close friend. So tío, Spain, güey, Mexico, and che, Argentina. In English, dude, bro, that kind of thing. It's very informal. Solo dos tíos por combate. Un combate cada vez. Se lucha sin camisa ni zapatos. El combate dura lo que haga falta. Estas son las otras reglas del club de la lucha. Estos tíos no son los mismos en el club y en la vida real. Aunque felicitaras al chico de la copistería por su lucha, no estarías hablando con la misma persona. Oh, it's another like double agents, right? During the day, they're a waiter, they're a car mechanic, they work in a cubicle. They just blend in. It's like a fifth column. They just blend in with the masses. Man, I'm just a sheep like all of you. But at night, the gloves come off, baby. At night, there's somebody. There's somebody you don't fuck with, you know? There's somebody important. That's the big one. There's somebody important. There's somebody you should know. There's somebody you should fear to an extent. They have value in a way that in their day life, they have little to no value or very little significance. So this club, again, it's not just about meatheads, smashing each other in the face. It's about creating a shared sense of significance and identity and being someone, mattering. El que yo soy en el club de la lucha no es nadie que mi jefe conozca, which is what I just said. Después de una noche en el club de la lucha, se baja el volumen del mundo real. Nadie conseguirá cabrearte. Tu palabras es ley y si alguien... All right, hold on, I gotta slow down. One more time. El que yo soy en el club de la lucha no es nadie que mi jefe conozca. Después de una noche en el club de la lucha, se baja el volumen del mundo real. Nadie conseguirá cobrearte. Tu palabra es ley. Y si alguien rompe esa ley o pone en duda tu palabra, ni siquiera eso te cabrea. En la vida real, soy un coordinador de compañías de retirada que viste camisa y corbata, se sienta amparado por las sombras con la boca llena de sangre y pasa las diapositivas mientras el jefe dice a los de Microsoft por qué escogió un tono especial de azul cianita para un icono del programa. El primer club lo inauguramos Tyler y yo a puñetazos. Antes me bastaba con limpiar el apartamento o escribir un informe por menorciado del coche cada vez que llegaba a casa enfadado, sabedor de que mi vida no iba a cumplir las expectativas del plan quien, quien, qui- quienal, quinquenal. Llegaría un momento en que llegaría un momento en que moriría sin una sola cicatriz. Solo quedarían un coche y un apartamento muy agradable. Allí estaría el apartamento hasta que el polvo o el siguiente propi- propietario se adueñará de él. Nada es inalterable. Incluso la Mona Lisa se está pud- pudriendo. The different conjugations of poner trip me up. Not all of them, but some of them. Like pusiera. Oh, I guess that one was all right. But this one right here, I got, I don't know. I gotta look this one up. Okay. Also, that sentence is a special one, so we'll come back to that. Um, oh, oh, it's not even poder. It's rot. Pudriendo. Pud that DRI is tripping me up. Pudriendo. Pudriendo. Driendo. Pudriendo. Pudriendo. Ugh, my throat just kind of closes up on that driendo. Anyways, um, okay, so we are making the move into destruction in this paragraph. I don't know if you picked up on that because it was kind of hard to read through that. Uh, Also, really quick, bastaba. I wanted to find out what that means. Really quick, just really quick. So, to be enough. Bastar. To be enough. Sufficient. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, I kind of get that because he's kind of saying like, look, before I would just it would be enough to just go home to my apartment, right? Go clean it. Um, write an informal this premenosidador really quick. I'm gonna find out what that means. Detailed del coche cada vez que llega. Inform. Okay, so he's just writing something down. He's like, look, he's writing something down to try to kind of vent. sabedor de que mi vida no iba a cumplir las. Oh, he knew that in his life he would not be able to complete his expectations of himself. There would be a moment in which he would die without a single scar on his body, without having lived life. And all that would be left of his life of quiet desperation, is that from a T.S. Eliot poem? Life of quiet desperation. You live your life from a number of teaspoons of sugar you put into your tea. The number of spoons of sugar you put into your tea, that is the measure of your life of quiet desperation. So solo quedarían un coche. So all will be left of his life are his material possessions. Um, until the next proprietor, I guess, got rid of it or kicked them out. So it's accent on E, which means him, not it, but him. So nothing is inalterable. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is fixed, right? Entropy. Entropy is a thing, including something so seemingly sacrosanct, something seemingly not holy, but something seemingly untouchable, immutable, so special, endowed with so much meaning, such as the Mona Lisa, right? Even that, even you're even losing that. Even that's decaying. And we can agree to that. Like, yeah, that's what happens. Entropy is a thing. And then he transitions to since I started Fight Club, the, half of my teeth, uh, la mitad de los dientes me bailan en la mandíbula. Really quick, I'm not sure what that translates into. I don't want to sit here and try to figure that out. Um, translate. Half of my teeth are dancing in my jaw. Oh, bailan. Bailando. Bailando. I should know that. I'm a dancer. Dientes me bailan en la. But mandíbula. That means jaw. Okay. So now we're sneaking in this idea of like, hey man, destruction's only natural. And then the next move's going to be like, why not lean into it? You know? And it's just this, you take these tiny little steps towards rock bottom. All right, let's go. Tyler. Well, I mean, Tyler is the guide towards rock bottom, so I'm not surprised to see his name pop up. El Padre. Tal vez, maybe not Yale, right? Tal vez la autosuperación no sea la respuesta. Ah, I know a superstition, but self-superstition? Oh, self-salvation. Tal vez la autosuperación no sea maybe self-improvement isn't the answer. Tyler nunca conoció a su padre. Tal vez la autodestrucción sea la respuesta. Maybe self-destruction is the answer. Uh-oh. I told you. I told you it's happening. It's happening. Tyler y yo seguimos yendo juntos al club de lucha. El club de lucha está ahora en el sótano de un bar que cierra los sábados por la noche. Cada vez que vas hay más tíos. Tyler se sitúa debajo de la única luz que pende en medio del sótano de hormigón y va esa luz parpadeando en la oscuridad en sin padres de ojos. A hundred pair of eyes. Lo primero que Tyler grita es la primera regla del club de la lucha es que no se habla del club de la lucha. La segunda regla del club de la lucha, grita Tyler, es que no se habla del club de la lucha. Yo viví con mi padre unos 6 años, pero no recuerdo nada. Cada 6 años, más o menos, mi padre funda una nueva familia en otra ciudad, o mejor dicho, establece una franquicia. There's this idea here about not knowing your father, not having a father figure. What is masculinity? What is being responsible for other people? What is leadership? What does it mean to be a provider? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a man? A fatherly man. Tyler knows. Well, he's going to fit that void in your heart for you to, to fulfill his ends. He's very much a cult of personality. So if you're reading this and you relate to that, you are in a vulnerable state. So be careful. Lo que ves en el club de la lucha es una generación de hombres criados por mujeres, a bunch of weak, feminine bitches. Right? I mean, how else would you read that? How else would you read that given the context that we just explained? How else would you read that? Lo que ves en el club de la lucha es una generación de hombres criados por mujeres. A bunch of weak, effeminate bitches. That's it. That's what that means. Tyler está de pie bajo la luz solitaria. Solitaria. Tyler está de pie bajo la luz solitaria de la bombilla en la negrura nocturna de un soltano lleno de hombres y recita las otras reglas. 2 hombres por combate, un combate cada vez, nada de camisas ni zapatos. Los combates duran lo que haga falta. Fights last as long as they need to. This, I forgot to make the association. Doesn't this feel a lot like, doesn't this make you think of the support group with Bob el Grandullón, el pedazo de pan? He was emasculated. Bob had bitch tits. Bob was fat. Bob was coming from an idea of a masculine man. He was a bodybuilder. Dale, dale, dale. That is a manifestation of the idea of a masculine man. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it. That it is the way, but it's certainly a way. And then contrast that with the bitch tit Bob El Grandullon. Now we're here in the basement of a bar, whereas before we were in the basement of a church. Basement of a church, like a bunch of rejects. And now you're in the basement of a bar, like a bunch of theos who are making it happen, who are not being passive, emasculated bitches anymore. Now they're taking back power. They're empowering themselves and each other. And now they're somebody worth reckoning with. Now, this is a support group. All right. A self destructive support group, but baby steps. Sometimes you got to go down to ascend even higher. Y la séptima regla, the seventh, y la séptima regla, Chila Tyler, es que si está en tu Primera noche. En el club de lucha, tienes que luchar. No spectators here. No passive emasculated bitches raised by women. If this is your first night here at Fight Club, you gotta get jumped in. Jumped in. What are they, gangbangers? And then what if they don't let them join the club? Too much of a bitch, even for a room full of bitches. um, yeah, let's keep reading. We're like halfway through. El Club de la Lucha no es como un partido de fútbol americano transmitido por televisión. You're not a passive bitch. No ves a una pandilla de tíos desconocidos que recorren el mundo y se acaban de cascar unos a otros vía satélite hace 2 minutos mientras te bombardean con anuncios de cerveza cada 10 minutos y ahora una pausa para identificar la estación emisora. I love these two sentences. I love this idea. There's a hollowness to being a passive sports spectator, isn't there? I am not. I don't like watching sports. I can barely stand watching professional tango dancers, and I'm a tango dancer, but I have to do it occasionally because it's part of my training program. And I need to learn from doing this. So there's some like legitimacy in me being a spectator of that kind of content. But if you're not like if you're not doing something like, yeah, I'll say it, if you're not playing a similar role as an athlete, a football player, a soccer player, a hockey player, whatever it is, then you're just this fat dumb motherfucker of an American. That so the stereotype goes. So the stereotype goes of being this, having a beer in one hand, having like a piece of shit Domino's pizza in the other hand, and watching the football game on your big screen TV on your couch in suburbia. And, every 10 minutes, you're watching a commercial about beer. And if you see your beer on that commercial, you feel a little validated. It's like, yeah, fuck yeah, yeah. So, yeah, yeah, I love that idea because this whole book is just about this descent into destruction and increasing the sphere of destruction. First, it starts with the individual. Then it starts with the people in Fight Club, then the people in Project Mayhem, and then it spills out into society at large. And part of the justification for that is ideas like this. I mean, this is right. Like I agree with this idea. It's like there's an emptiness. There's an emptiness to being that sports spectator. And that's nihilistic. That's life denying. Because you're just sitting there watching that TV. Now this book's like 30 years old. So nowadays it's like just sitting there scrolling on, doing death scrolling on TikTok and Instagram or um, whatever it is, or watching like I once heard the Joe Rogan podcast being described as like a screensaver for like a screensaver for like truckers who don't want to think. No, no, no disrespect to truckers, eh? But I didn't say this. Just, but not truckers. So like, it's a screensaver for people who just don't want to think in general, right? It's like I don't want, I want to just rot. I had a long day. I don't want to think, but I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. So I just need something to play, right? So that's nihilistic. What the author is describing here, that's nihilistic. That's something arguably you want to move away from. And so that's being contrasted with Fight Club, where it's like, hey man, Fight Club doesn't sound too bad now, does it? All right, let's keep going. El club de la lucha se convierte en la única razón por la cual vas al gimnasio. Llevas el pelo corto y las uñas bien recortadas. El gimnasio al que vas está lleno de tíos que intentan parecer hombres, como si ser un hombre significará rendirse a los deseos de un escultor o un director artístico. Como dice Tyler, hasta los soufflés parecen inflados. I'm not sure what he means by that, but I'm going to keep going. Mi padre nunca fui a la universidad. We're working class men. Así que era realmente importante. Never mind. Así que era realmente importante que yo fuera. Al acabar la universidad, le llamé por teléfono y le pregunté, ¿y ahora qué? Mi padre no sabía qué responder. Oh, no, you've made it further than I have. Cuando conseguí un trabajo y cumplí 25 tacos, le volví a llamar y le pregunté, ¿y ahora qué? Mi padre no sabía qué responder, así que me dijo, cásate, cásate, get married. That's what fucking everyone else is doing. Why not? Tengo 30 años y me pregunto si lo que realmente necesito es otra mujer. Interesting, interesting. Lo que sucede en el club de la lucha no puede explicarse con palabras. It's mystical, the occult. Algunos tíos necesitan una pelea semanal. Esta semana, dice, esta semana, Tyler dice que bastará con los primeros 50 tíos que crucen la puerta, ni uno más. So they have homework now. La semana pasada le hice una señal a un tío y nos apuntamos para luchar. El tío debió haber tenido una semana pésima. Me dobló los brazos por detrás de la espalda con una llave perfecta y me machucó la cara contra el suelo de hormigón hasta que los dientes me desgarraron la mejilla por dentro y me hinchó un ojo que quedó cerrado y sangrando. Y después de pedirle que parara, miré el suelo y vi la huella de sangre dejada por la mitad de mi cara. So, so he's saying this one guy must have had like a heavy week. Like he must have had like a bad week because he took it out on me. I felt how bad his week. He successfully transmitted the difficulty of his work onto my face. I mean, that's art. That's art. That's art. So the definition of art that makes the most amount of sense to me is the representation of conscious states. If you if you can make me feel what you feel, if you can successfully transmit that experience to me as an observer of your art, then you're an artist. That's what an artist does. Artists doesn't just paint, they communicate. And so by that definition, this is a form of art, arguably. Let's keep going. Tyler, Tyler. Tyler me puso a mi lado. Ambos miramos la huella sanguinolenta en forma de O dejada por mi boca y la mancha de mi ojo que nos contemplaba desde el suelo. Tyler dijo, genial, genial, genial. Le doy la mano y mi contrincante y le digo, buen combate, good fight, which is something we say in martial arts. Good roll, good sparring match. So, I mean, he's making a lot of sense. He's making a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to get my face smashed in on concrete. I only ever roll or spar on thick 3-inch padded floors. Okay. Because there's a limit to how far you want to take things. But in this book, there's no limit. There's no limit. ¿Qué tal otro la semana que viene? How about we whip each other's ass next week? Because you're pretty good at this. So, let's do it again. Trato de sonreír a pesar de la hinchazón y le digo, mírame, ¿qué tal el mes que viene? He goes, look at my fucking face, dude. How about 2 weeks from now? You gotta give me a minute for this for the swelling to go away. Can you give me a minute? Can I have a minute? Or a couple of weeks, rather. Um, it's good though. They're bonding. They're bonding. They're. I mean, think about that for a second. This guy just took an ass whooping, and it's much more meaningful to him than all the other BS that he has to go through in the real world, in the world that happens above the basement. That world, the world with it's like the world, the real world. That's not. It doesn't feel real, right? There's a sort of irony to that idea of the real world. It's almost as if this idea predates the idea of the Matrix. You know, the Matrix, that world. We got to plug into the Matrix and go through the motions and kind of blend in. But if you show up to work with your face all swollen, swallowing blood and probably dripping some of it, you you start popping people's comforting illusions. You go, what the fuck? That's abnormal. What the fuck? That's abnormal. Oh, cognitive dissonance. You're what I think is real is breaking down. Like you don't do that. You don't go to work with a swollen face and blood. That's not what I'm used to. That's not what makes me comfortable. And so you're piercing through people's hermetically sealed cocoons of comfort and security, and most importantly, neurosis. It's like the Matrix again. It's like when people are plugged in, they will defend the illusion almost, and sometimes even to their own death, they will defend that illusion because you're disturbing that illusion for them, and people don't like that. We need our comforting illusions. So this comes back to the idea of nihilistic realism. Um, you're probably familiar with the idea that there's no objective, like existential nihilism. The fundamental claim of existential nihilism is that there's no fundamental meaning to life. There's no cosmic order. You just exist. Now, the second half of that is that it would be an act of self delusion to attempt to create meaning because you've already acknowledged that the reality of the situation is that there's no meaning. That's it. There's no meaning. It's just a blank canvas. And to try to draw a picture on that canvas and say, look, there's actually something there, it's delusional. Like you just contradicted yourself. It's madness. It's delusional. There is no meaning to be had there, and you're gonna create it anyways. Like that's a cope. It's coping. It's coping. Well, it's empty, but I'm gonna paint over the emptiness and pretend that the emptiness is not there. It's that's like the idea of a hollow shell. You're looking at the surface of the shell and you're thinking, no, there's a surface. There's like figurines I paint on the shell. Yeah, dude. But like poke through that infinitely small surface area, and what you're gonna find inside is the void. So As you read through this book, as we read through this book, I mean, I can't help but just find nihilism everywhere. It's everywhere. Everywhere. All right. Unless it's not. Well, in this book, it's everywhere. We'll come back to this idea. En ningún sitio, sitio, yeah. En ningún sitio te sientes tan vivo como en el club de la lucha, pelea- peleando un tío y tú bajo esa luz solitaria, mientras los demás te observan, formando un círculo en el club de la lucha. No se trata de ganar o perder combates. Al club de la lucha tampoco se va a hablar. This ain't no fucking talk therapy group, dude. Which, by the way, borderline useless. Ves a un tío entrar por vez primera en el club de la lucha y su culo parece una hogaza de pan. El mismo, ese mismo tío, dentro de 6 meses, parece tallado, parece tallado en madera y se cree capaz de cualquier cosa. This is straight from the movie as well. Um, when a guy enters Fight Club, his ass is made out of cookie dough. But after 6 months, this man's carved out of wood. This is a man-making machine. Weak, effeminate bitches go into Fight Club, and real men come out of Fight Club. 6 months. It's a 6 month program. Takes time. We have a 93% success rate, money back guarantee. So that's the idea here. That's the pitch. It's like, look, man, we're gonna make a man out of you. That's the value of Fight Club, and that's real. That's real. And so Fight Club gives you something that's a little real, and you go and you buy into it. You're like, okay, this is real. I know what the unreal looks like and feels like. I know what that is because I've been living in it all my life. But this right here, no, this is real. And then next step after that is gonna be like, hold this gun. Feel this gun. This gun is also real. That's where this is going. Um, let's finish that paragraph. Se oyen gruñidos y ruidos igual que en el gimnasio, pero en el club de la lucha no se trata de lograr una buena ap- no se sorry about that. Where am I? Let's start again. Se oyen gruñidos, growls, y ruidos igual que en un gimnasio. Except this is real, not a bunch of fake, pretty looking bitches in the gym. Pero en el, I regret nothing. Pero en el club de la lucha no se trata de lograr una buena herencia física. Se oyen también gritos histéricos, igual que en misma. Y cuando te levantas el domingo por la tarde, te sientas a salvo. In the gym, you wake up the next day sore. Fight Club, you wake up the next day like your soul has been saved. It's real. Ah, the Messiah Tyler has welcomed you in. Where do we go from here? That's power. That's power. He's accumulating power, by the way. Tyler is accumulating power, which is very Nietzschean. The only thing that's real, the only thing that is antithetical to nihilism is power. Because why be passive when you can be active? But to be active, to make things happen, you need power for that. Very Nietzschean. Después del último combate, el tío que había luchado contra mí limpiaba el suelo con una fergona mientras yo llamaba al seguro y me daban permiso para ir a urgencias. En el hospital, Tyler me dice que me he caído. What happened to your face? I fell. Straight out of the movie. En ocasiones, Tyler habla por mí. Me lo he hecho yo mismo. Tyler speaks for me. Tyler is within me. The spirit of Tyler flows through me. The spirit of the Lord commands you to donate $5 to my church. Same idea. Tyler is Jesus. Fuera estaba saliendo el sol. Oh, oh, kind of like Plato's allegory of the cave. You leave the cave. What's that? It's the sun, and I've seen it for the first time. Enlightenment. I can see the real world. No se habla del Club de la Lucha porque, exceptuando esas 5 horas entre las 2 y las 7 de la mañana del domingo, el Club de Lucha no existe. Cuando Tyler y yo inventamos el Club de la Lucha, ninguno de los dos había luchado antes. Si nunca te has visto envuelto en una pelea, te haces preguntas sobre las heridas, sobre lo que eres capaz de hacerle a otra persona. Power. Yo fui el primer tipo con el que Tyler tuvo confianza para pedírselo. Es- Estábamos los dos borrachos en un bar donde no le importábamos a nadie. Y Tyler me dijo, quiero que me hagas un favor. Quiero que me pegues lo más fuerte que puedas. Yo no quería, pero Tyler me lo contó todo. Que no deseaba morir sin cicatrices, que estaba cansado de ver solo combates entre profesionales, que quería conocerse mejor, y lo de la autodestrucción. En aquel momento, la vida me parecía demasiado completa y tal vez hubiera que romper con todo para sacar lo mejor de nosotros mismos. You gotta tear yourself apart to find out who you are. Self-discovery through self-destruction. That is arguably Nietzschean as well. Like you need to suffer, you need to destroy yourself, whether literally or figuratively, and then rebuild yourself. Right? You need to remove all these external influences, right? The bun up guy who's like, well, I'm a nice guy. I'm a so and so engineer. I'm a good citizen. I'm like, no, dude, this is your brainwashing from all this public or private education, all this indoctrination, all this propaganda, corporate propaganda, national propaganda, all these ideas that society has raised you with. That's not you. That's your programming. You're just another biological automaton that's been programmed. It's just like this, like you've been cranked up, you've been released, and you go, I am me, I am me, I have an ego, this is who I am, this is my identity. No, por favor. You gotta deprogram. It's also very Buddhist as well. You gotta deprogram. You gotta find out that who you thought you were, that's not you, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. You're just a marionette puppet. You gotta start cutting those strings. I want to do that is do self-destruction. You can do that figuratively by deprogramming, or you can do it literally. All right, enough of that. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. All right, let's keep going because we're like, oh, okay, we're like 70% through. Está bien, de acuerdo, pero fuera en el aparcamiento. Así que salimos y le pregunté a Tyler si quería que lo golpeara. Oh, this is imperfect subjunctive. If, like, if contrary to fact, hypothetical, I could whoop your ass, just hypothetically. I mean, are you into that? Like, así que salimos y le pregunté a Tyler si quería que lo golpeara en la cara o en el estómago. Sorpréndeme, sorpréndeme, dijo Tyler. Surprise me. Le dije que jamás le había pegado a nadie. Tyler contestó, vamos, ponte loco. Cierra los ojos. No, Tyler dijo. Hide. Hide in the dark. Nah. Como cualquier otro tipo en su primer noche en el club de la lucha, cogí aire y describí una parábola con el puño en dirección a la mandíbula de tal y como estaba acostumbrado a ver en las películas de vaqueros, pero mi puño cochó contra un lado del cuello de Tyler. Can't even throw a fucking punch right. He aims for the face, hits Tyler in the neck. Also in the movie. Mierda, dijo. Mierda, dije yo. No ha valido. Proba, proba, probaré otra vez. Claro que ha valido, dijo Tyler. Y me lanzó un directo puff, igual que un guante de boxeo impulsado por un muelle, como en los dibujos animados del sábado por la mañana. Justo en mitad del pecho, caí hacia atrás y me di cuenta un coche. Nos quedamos los dos de pie, Tyler frotándose en cuyo y yo apoyando una mano en el pecho. Y sabíamos que habíamos llegado más lejos que nunca y que, one more time, y sabíamos que habíamos llegado más lejos que nunca y que. Igual que el perro y el gato de los dibujos animados, seguíamos vivos, pero estábamos deseosos de ver hasta dónde podíamos continuar sin dejar de estarlo. Genial, dijo Tyler. Le pedí que me golpeara otra vez. No, pégame tú, dijo Tyler. But you cheating bastard, it's my turn. You hit me. Así que le lancé. Launched? Así que le lancé un gancho de chica justo. That's a tango move, by the way, gancho. It's like it's almost like an uppercut with your leg, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. Así que le lancé un gancho de chica justo por debajo de la oreja. Y Tyler me derrumbó y me hundió el tacón del zapato y el estómago. Lo, lo que se sucedió después es indescriptible. El bar cerró, la gente salió al aparcamiento y nos rodeó para asusarnos a gritos. Ah, they're building a following. If you like, please subscribe. En vez de Tyler, fui yo quien finalmente acabé por darme cuenta de que podía acostumbrarme a todas aquellas cosas que no iban bien. La ropa limpia que volvía de la lavandería con los botones del cuello rotos. El banco que me anuncia que tengo un descubierto de cientos de dólares. El trabajo donde el jefe se mete en mi ordenador y juguetea con los comandos de ejecución del 2. Y Marla Singer, que me robó los grupos de apoyo. Marla. No habíamos resuelto nada al terminar el combate, pero no importaba. La primera vez que luchamos era un domingo por la noche y Tyler no se había afeitado en todo el fin de semana. Así que me ardían los nudos en carne viva por culpa de su barba de 2 días tumbados boca arriba en el aparcamiento, mientras contemplábamos una estrella que apareció entre las farolas. Le pregunté a Tyler contra qué había luchado. Tyler contestó que contra su padre. Ah, he fought against God. Jesus fought against God in this book. Jesus took like the hero arc, Tyler took like the villain arc. That's one way to think about it. But they're he's like the devil, like devil, the God, devil who fought it. Uh, Actually, I'm not sure quite how to take that analogy, so let's keep going. Tal vez no necesitábamos un padre para sentirnos completos. No es nada personal lo que determina, ter- determina quiénes son tus contrincantes en el club de la lucha. Se lucha por luchar. Se supone que no se debe hablar del club de lucha, pero sí hablamos y durante las 2 semanas siguientes empezaron a venir tíos al aparcamiento después de que cerrara el bar y antes de que llegara el frío. Otro bar nos había ofrecido el sótano en el que ahora nos reunimos. Cuando los miembros del club de lucha se reúnen, Tyler recita las reglas que establecimos, él y yo. La mayoría de vosotros, grita Tyler bajo el cono de luz, en el centro del sótano lleno de hombres. Estáis aquí porque alguien quebrantó las reglas. Alguien os ha hablado del club de lucha. Lo mejor será que dejáis a lot of vosotros, grammatical form right now. Lo mejor será que dejéis de hablar del club y ya podéis ir fundando otro club de lucha, dice Tyler, porque la semana que viene, cuando llegáis aquí, anotaréis vuestros hombres en una lista y solo pasarán los 50 primeros. It's getting even more exclusive. Los que entréis prepararéis un combate enseguida. Si lo que queréis es luchar, si no queréis luchar, hay otros tíos que quieren, por lo que tal vez deberíais quedaros, quedaros en casa. Jesus Christ. I mean, he's addressing the group, so it makes sense that there'll be a lot of vosotros conjugations there, and it's still going. Si esta es vuestra primera noche en el club de lucha, Chila, Tyler, tendréis que luchar. La mayoría de estos tíos está en el club de lucha por culpa de algo contra lo que tienen miedo de luchar. Después de unos cuantos combates, el miedo es mucho menor. Muchos que ahora son buenos amigos se conocieron en el club de lucha. Voy a reuniones, reuniones y congresos. Congresses. This Congress has gathered today to whip each other's ass and transform boys into men. Voy a reuniones y congresos donde veo rostros de contables, jóvenes e ejecutivos o abogados con la nariz rota y abultada como una berenjena bajo el vendaje, o con un par de puntos de suturas bajo de ojo, stitches, o con la mandíbula inferior sujeta por un alambre. Todos son jóvenes apacibles que escuchan hasta que llega la hora de tomar decisiones. Make a leader out of you, a decisive leader. Nos saludamos con un ademán de cabeza. We're making men out of boys. This is a man factory. Más tarde, mi jefe me preguntará cómo es que conozco a tantos de esos tíos. Según él, cada vez hay menos caballeros en el negocios y más macaras. La demostración sigue adelante. Me fijo en Walter, el de Microsoft. He aquí a un joven de piel pálida y con la dentadura perfecta, con un empleo de esos por los que te molestas en escribir a la revista de licenciados. Licenciados para informarte. Sabes que es demasiado joven para haber luchado en ninguna guerra y, aunque sus padres no se habían divorciado, su padre nunca estaba en casa. Me mira a la cara, la mitad afeitada y limpia, y la otra magullada y malévola, oculta en la oscuridad. La sangre brilla en mis labios y puede que Walter esté present subjunctive que. So it's a good one. La sangre, the bright blood, la sangre brilla en mis labios y que puede que Walter esté pensando. Puede que, could be, doubt. Doubt is a trigger for the subjunctive. Usually está pensando, but esté is a subjunctive conjugation, present tense conjugation of estar. All right, let's knock this out because we still have. Oh, that's it. Let's finish strong. La sangre brilla en mis labios y puede que Walter esté pensando en aquel convite informal y vegetariano al que fue el pasado fin de semana, o en el ozono, o en la desesperada necesidad, por el bien de la tierra, de que se detengan los crueles experimentos de productos con animales, pero también es probable que no esté pensando en todo eso. All right, we're an hour and a half in. I'm a little frazzled mentally, so we're going to end it right there. And that's it. That's chapter 6 of Fight Club. Whew, I'm lightheaded. So some final thoughts. This was a relatively short chapter. I know it doesn't feel short because you're seeing me read it for an hour and a half. But this is a relatively short chapter, and in this chapter, we were introduced to the idea of this, the idea that self-destruction is sexy. The idea that through self-destruction, you're going to create a better version of yourself. It's only through self-destruction that you can create a better version of yourself. It's the idea of like the phoenix rises from the ashes. We saw a lot of not a lot, but we saw like more than usual use of the vosotros grammatical form, which I personally like. Um, and I think I mentioned this twice throughout the video. This idea of self-destruction before was contained to the individual. So it's just Tyler and the main character fighting each other. And then it grew. The sphere of self-destruction grew to encapsulate the people from the bar. And then it grew even further because those people broke the first rule, or the first rule, the first two rules of Fight Club, and then more people joined the club, and more people joined the club, and more people joined the club, and they got bloated. So Tyler's like, we gotta start filtering out people. We gotta start filtering out people, so only the true believers remain. The true believers remain. This is a, this idea of like self-discovery to self-destruction, I think is actually a very, very, very good and arguably healthy idea. It's how you go about it that might not be so healthy. Now, in this book, it's this is a cautionary tale. This is like an unhealthy way to go about it. But there are like kernels of like truth here where it's like, well, I mean, that does make a lot of sense, doesn't it? But anyway, so this is gonna just keep growing. So now Tyler's filtering out the people, the fat, and he's maintaining the true believers. And then from there, he's gonna go to Project Mayhem, and he's just gonna escalate the destructive nature of this project of his. And that's where this is going. And yeah, that's it. So that's chapter 6, I believe. Wait, am I wrong? No, that's right. Yeah, we're done with chapter 6. So that's chapter 6. Yeah. Uh, See you next time.